That's me in the very beginning. Now I am a baby and getting zoomed from my mom to my birthday. I don't remember a lot about my younger life, but I remember it was fun and I felt so safe. My mom and dad always happy. I guess my mom's sister was mad that my dad was so great, so she called the police and said he hit my mom. We were all reading and they came. I heard my dad yelling, "There's no way!" My mom was crying loudly. Some lady took us away. The court said my parents abused and neglected us. They only loved us. The caseworker lied. I never saw my parents again. I'm still hoping one day they come. I am a victim of CPS and so are my parents. We need to find justice in all of this madness for all of us that are being abused. It's not fair. Every kid I know has a mom and dad. I know they miss me. I bet they fight every day for me to come home.
Don't get caught like us. Know your rights.
From the Lord, offspring a reward from Him. This suggests children are a precious gift from God to be valued and cared for.
In the United States, a child a minute is taken into DHS, CPS, and so on custody. The reality is their pics are already selected, you just don't know it. Being perfect no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to the White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. The services your family needs, we the people have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title 4 says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family values. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, just profitable. For the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fathers. These are our children. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children God gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
Good evening, everybody. Friday night here at CPS Victims Hunting for Justice. I am your host, the CPS Punisher, and this is our show. We are here live on Friday evening, last one of the week, guys, so let's make this a good one. American patriotism's on with us. Hello, all fighting for their children. That is awesome. Thank you, guys. Remember, like, subscribe. Please help us out. Get this out here for people to learn how to be educated when Child Protective Services is knocking at their doors. It's a very important thing. We can't stop this. Once you've already been introduced to Child Protective Services and they've already been brought into your home, a lot of times it's already too late to step away from what they're trying to do to you. Like, they've already gotten you into a contract, they've already gotten you into this. So spreading little bits and tidbits of information to people is what we're aiming to do, and also show the size of the force that we can be as a movement. Guys, there's an awful lot of us, and we're not showing our faces. Speaking of showing faces, I got Melissa and we got Herbert here with us tonight. Our guest is out, so if any of you want to contact us and hop in, that would be great. Make sure that you guys use this chat right here off to the side. Use it if you have questions or things that you guys want to talk about. Anything that you guys need to know, want to know that we can give you information on. It's here. These boards are empty, so let's light them up, guys. So guys, what's going on? Anything new in the world of CPS for either one of you?
Not new in the world of CPS, but new in judicial corruption.
Oh, okay. Big words. What you got, Melissa?
Well, I got Judge Hyde trying to find ways to hold me in contempt of child support on a child that was not even in the state.
Oh.
And I was actually just reading the statutes in Alabama, because he can't order child support until the child's deemed dependent. Well, my children have never been deemed dependent.
Yeah, your children are still waiting for the 72-hour hearing thereafter, right? Like, isn't that where you're at when you've been in this for 2 years with them?
My children have, at this point, they've had the 72-hour order, but that's it. There's no other orders. And by the Supreme Court, 72 hours only good for 6 months. After that, it's null and void. The remedy is children must be returned home. But it does not say exactly who is supposed to remedy that. It doesn't say the trial court must meet this remedy. It just says that's the remedy. Therefore, everyone's like playing stupid about it. And now with the fact that we're past the 1 year mark, the permanency hearing, I found a Supreme Court case on that one that said, even if it is contrary to the best interest of the children must be returned. Actually, I think that was one of the ones you found here in Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, how long are they going to let? How long do they let? These kids just wait in limbo for them to get their crap together?
Well,
it's not
and
right,
now,
it's not fair.
Now they're trying to dismiss the constitutional challenge. So I'm going down on Monday, back down to the courthouse, and I got to fill out some kind of extra paper. And I don't know. Right now, we're on an open-end continuation with no further court dates.
What the hell? So how can that even be possible? Like, how does that?
Literally, the last order says, motion to continue filed by DHR is hereby granted. That's it. That's all it said.
So that's just, now they can just at their leisure rule on your rule on whenever they feel like it. So we'll get back to you. So your kids can just sit and wait and want to come home to mommy and daddy, and they won't be because this judge just said, well, nope. Let's we'll just put this in the back burner until we feel like we want to deal with this. That's it. So that's fair to you. That's fair to your kids.
Well, and Junior's really suffering right now. I mean, he's getting very clingy at the visits, and he's very upset when it's time to leave, even more so than normal. And I've heard that Hannah used to tell me, the workers that they fired, she used to tell me how he was doing in school and what was going on with him. And she told me they was getting ready to kick him out of, he's in pre-K, kindergarten type class. And they're getting ready to throw him out of the school because he's hitting and acting out and stuff.
Right,
and
these
at the
things weren't issues
visits,
before you went there, right?
oh no, he was hell. The only time you seen him upset is when the rooster got after him. That's the only time I ever heard that kid cry here, is when he went running screaming from the rooster. Needless to say, I don't have a rooster anymore.
Yeah. And okay, but that's, that rooster was probably that was probably you were doing something wrong to have your kid around, roosters is dangerous, it's just, this is just,
I mean, that's just it. At the last hearing, they said that I properly supervised. They said that I was financially fit. They had no arguments with my ability to supervise. The only thing they argued, and I have it in the transcript, the only thing that they argued is that how was it? She said it. She says, well, we're asking for the court to not return the child due to the fact that we have met the 1-year statute for permanency that dictates that we do not have to return the child. That's it. So because my judge took a year off and refused to hold court for a year, he has given up my right to a fair hearing during the time that I had to get my kids back.
That's crazy. I just can't believe that there's nobody there that's trying to even remotely help you. Like, there's no one there that's trying to, senators, no nothing, trying to
hell, the state rep and governor and the Senate and all that stuff, all the legislation, especially for like my county, the reps for my county, they're absolute garbage. They won't call you back. They don't answer the phone. You can write them till you're blue in the face. I reach out to one of the federal level, and his secretary made a lot of calls and tried to get people to call us back, and even that fell on deaf ears. And the governor's office used to answer the phone and, oh yeah, we'll help you investigate, we'll this, we'll that. And then they looked and figured out it was an attorney. The judge was someone that they directly appointed, and all of a sudden they disappeared too. So at this point, the attorney, Yancey, what he wants to do is we're just going to take the argument of conspiracy to the federal court. I mean, we're going to the U.S. District Court. We'll hopefully file before the second week of May. Because with mine, and I was talking to him about this, you're supposed to file within 2 years of the date the case was established. Well, where mine's kind of a gray area, Sarah's case was established at one point, but the other children were not established till they decided to take them. Their case opened the day they were removed, which still ties me to May 11th. And then it ties Annabella to June 18th. But here's what I want to know is, why the hell are we rolling into 2 years on a case with no dependency, no reunification, no nothing?
Mm-hmm.
No services, no getting anyone to get off their ass, and now all of a sudden it's, oh, well, we're not going to do any more makeup visits. We're done doing that. And the attorney for DH.
That's the judges. The judge is the only one that can make that decision.
Oh no, Hyde left it 100% up to the department's discretion. Yeah, he's a crooked piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. They are all showing their true colors now, and it's like the thing that sucks is that like this P. Diddy stuff and all this stuff that's taken over this is really shadowing this in the wrong places. You know what I mean? Like it's not doing where doing is
right. It's not showing the light on the fact that this is something plaguing the country. It just looks like a corrupt ass rap star.
Mm-hmm.
Corrupt ass singer being taken down. That's it. Nothing major, no big deal. When the fact is, it's a freaking huge deal.
I found this video here that it's since we don't have our guest tonight, this is a little bit showing like what's showing the corruption side of things here. It's a pretty good put together. It's a pretty good, it's well put together. So let me, you know what? I'm just going to start it. I'm enough talking and you guys can see what I'm talking about here.
Information. Child Protection Services has struggled with high turnovers of caseworkers, facing danger and extreme stress, in some cases lying or falsifying records in an attempt to keep up with overwhelming workloads. But agency officials are optimistic about a new overhaul plan and efforts to identify high-risk early cases. CPS officials are rare, but they have nowhere to track them. Wrongdoing can stem from intense pressure to close cases quickly. And CPS discipline for misconduct can be inconsistent. When Child Protection Services received a complaint that a Harris County father had choked his teenage daughter, caseworker Michelle Robinson hurried to the house, conducted a thorough investigation but determined there was no merit to the allegations and closed the case. Except she didn't. In October, a Harris County jury convicted her for falsifying CPS records, concluding that she'd lied. She'd said she'd interviewed key sources in the case, that she'd left the young girl in danger, and Robinson was sentenced to a year of probation and ordered to pay a $300 fine. It wasn't an isolated case, and since 2009, at least 50 CPS workers have been caught lying to prosecutors, ignoring court orders,
sounds familiar, right?
falsifying state
None of
records,
you guys out there have ever had this done, right?
obstructing law enforcement investigations.
Right?
According to an American Statesman review of state and court documents, at least 4 former CPS employees are currently facing criminal charges for their alleged misconduct. State officials insist that these cases are rare. The employees accused of misconduct, found Statesman, represent a fraction of the 3,400 investigators and foster care workers in their agency, but the agency cannot definitively say how often it happens, since it does not comprehensively track the number of people who are fired for such offences. It also doesn't count.
No, here
the
they just
number of
fire you when they don't
CPS
want you to
employees
testify.
who were punished
Right.
but
right.
not fired for such misconduct, because the information is stored only in employees' personal files. Officials do have some sense of scope of the problem, because they receive reports of violations that have been confirmed by the Health and Human Service Commission's Office or Inspector General, the Commission's in-house watchdog. But those numbers don't include misconduct that CPS handles internally.
No.
Through a series of
They just
open
get promoted and move
requests,
on, right?
the American Statesman identified numerous
That's what happened to
employees
the
accused of
director from
wrongdoing by
our
CPS,
office.
or the
She got caught
referred
falsifying
to
documents.
law
They just moved her to
enforcement
another
agencies.
county.
The majority of those referrals were for lying on government documents to cover up sloppy casework, with caseworkers often saying they had visited children they had not. In other cases, employees failed to cooperate with law enforcement, lied on their travel reimbursement forms, or refused to comply with the judge's orders. Although the commissioner states
But they don't get in trouble for this.
that caseworkers
No one gets in
lying
trouble
is
for
not
that.
acceptable, yet consequences
No.
doled out by the CPS are inconsistent. Some employees have been fired, but others were not punished at all. Additionally, some supervisors who meted out discipline to troubled workers were later accused of their own misconduct, with some child welfare advocates said attributes to poor morale on the front lines. Former CPS investigator Dimple Patel, now a research associate at the advocacy group Text Protex, says she saw caseworkers falsifying documents a great deal of the time. Once a supervisor actually changed a worker's documentation to state that the worker interviewed the children when they actually did not. She said that the supervisor was caught as the printed documents did not match up with the things changed in our computer database. They both still work for the agency. While each case is different, one clear theme emerges in the personnel and investigation records. An unmanageable workload and intense pressure to close cases compels workers to cut corners. In 2009, Child Protection Services had to publicly record every abuse and neglect related to death in late, but those reports have not been thoroughly analysed to help identify patterns to further future deaths until now. Caseworkers obviously don't enter the profession with the intent to lie, but the safety of children, the justice of children, pressure
Can
to
I
close
say
these
bullshit to that?
investigations
They
come
do
hell or
enter
high
to lie.
water has plagued caseworkers for years and can
Yeah,
lead
I'll
to
second that
wrongdoing.
one. I'm sure everybody
I
else
think
will be
that
out here doing
pressure
it too.
has also directly resulted in sloppy casework and finding any excuse by caseworkers to close the cases. And apparently once falsification of record begins, it tends to become a pattern. The only way to cover up a lie is with another lie. The consequences can be devastating.
Yeah, we're the
In
ones that suffer, right?
2013, in April,
Yeah, but
an infant was
this
seriously
video
injured
says
by
that
his parents
they're
after a
wrongfully
CPS
closing. They're wrongfully
investigator
closing.
failed to
No,
check
they're
out
not.
a neglect allegation.
They hardly
When
ever
CPS
close,
investigators
even when they should.
and lie
Right,
about
like
it in
your
their
situation.
reports, not only are they breaking the law, but they are putting the children they are supposed to protect in danger. Allegations of wrongdoing come to the agency in a number of ways. Officials can receive complaints from prosecutors, defense attorneys, teachers, or parents.
Yeah, okay.
CPS supervisors also have discovered misdeeds through mistakes in travel reimbursement forms, which raises questions about whether caseworkers actually saw the children.
Ooh, the worker
So
stole
when
an
the
extra
agency
50
scrutinises
cents.
the allegations, it also sends complaints to the Office of Inspector General, which launches its own investigation. If
Just take it
evidence
out
of
of the
potential
promotion they
criminal
got for
wrongdoing
stealing
is
the kid.
discovered, the case is referred to the local district attorney's office. But some regional offices have been accused of misdeeds multiple times. In Smith County, which includes Tyler, Sir Tiffany Wickle has reported at least 6 employees for wrongdoing in the past 2 years alone. In one case, 3 workers were accused of forging a signature on a removal affidavit.
Oh, so
to
we
the
can
court
write, we can
because the
forge signatures
investigator
now.
said
Perfect.
she was out of the office when it was due. The investigator quit and the 2 employees were only disciplined. In another case, 3 CPS workers were accused of obstructing a criminal investigation into the 2012 death of Tamarin Kaloprek, who was starved to death for days after a CPS caseworker closed the case without even visiting the child. In that situation, former CPS Regional Director Bitt Whitaker signed off on disciplinary action against a supervisor accused of subpar work involving the child. Whitaker, however, was later accused of wrongdoing in the same case. She was put on paid leave and allowed to retire, while the police department investigated the allegations that she had concealed documents and medical records involving the child and her sisters. In July, a Taylor County grand jury indicted Whitaker on charges of tampering with physical evidence, a third-degree felony. Police department said more indictments could come against other CPS employees. In 2013, 3 CPS workers, Laura Ard, were criminally charged with tampering with evidence in the death of teenager Alicia Moore, who police say was murdered by her uncle after CPS had been warned the girl was in danger. Prosecutors said that 3 workers falsified documents to justify closing the case without conducting a thorough investigation. The CPS worker told officials she did it because she was under pressure to close cases and that she was only following orders. According to a report by the Office of Inspector General Investigator, she blamed her supervisor for ensuring an edict to reduce the office's backlog of investigations. And then this tragic event. A dad worked for the State Department of Child Safety, handling cases of child neglect and abuse. The mum, a county sheriff's office dispatch supervisor in charge of sending police to check out complaints of child maltreatment. On paper, their jobs made the perfect fit for protecting children from harm. Yet they did exactly the opposite to their own children. According to a notice of claim filed on their kids' behalf, their 4 children, all adopted out of the foster care system, physical, sexual abuse. According to the legal claim filed with the State Department, that abuse was covered up by the DCS and the County Sheriff's Office agents, taking immense delight in demonstrating to the children the power they both yielded as governmental agents, being able to abuse and torture their children with absolutely no repercussions. The claim details those horrors forcing the children to stand naked in front of each other to drink dirty water from the chicken coop and the family's dog water bowl, to use the cat litter tray instead of the toilet. The children were made to wear prison uniforms, bound with zip ties and forced to perform sexual acts on each other. In other instances, the parents gave the children a gun and dared them to shoot themselves. One of the children, now 19, said he deliberately tried to get arrested and put in jail where he felt he would be safer. If jail was safer than home, it's not a home. The Campbells were arrested after video footage of abuses that took place in their Hereford home in southeastern Arizona was discovered. Their parental rights were seeking $16 million in damages from the DCS and the county sheriff's office for allegedly knowing of the problems at the Campbell household but continually and systemically refusing to intervene. Neither the state or county replied to a request for comment on the notice of claim, which was filed in late August, which notices give government agencies an opportunity to settle a dispute. The children's attorneys say the DCS received more than a dozen reports to the state's children's
Is it
abuse
just me, or does the foreign accent try to
on numerous
play
occasions.
down
The sheriff's deputies were
actual
dispatched to the home,
horror
yet
The
the
crimes that
complaint
they're
says
committing?
those calls were dismissed out of hand
The crimes that
or
they're,
not
Yeah,
these
taken
it's
people,
being
seriously.
read like a
For
basic
example, after the
story,
Campbell's daughter
you
in
know, a
2006
lifeless
it's almost like
story.
told a friend at school
yeah,
that her
it's
mother
almost
had
like it's
punched her in the
it's
face.
like, oh,
School's
too bad
officials
Oh,
that
hey,
called
Samantha's
the
here with
DCS.
us.
The
oh,
parents
sweet, she
denied
came
the
in.
incident.
All right,
Even though the girl's face was bruised, the complaint went nowhere.
Samantha,
Hey, Sam.
does this stuff
Responding
sound
to
familiar to
another
you?
hotline call, the county sheriff's office deputy was sent to the home in 2016 after two of the
Hey,
children
how are you?
and their parents forced them to stand naked in front of their siblings while being videotaped.
How does this stuff? Does this
They
stuff
said their
sound? Does this stuff
parents had
sound familiar
choked
to
them
you?
and threatened to kill them, but neither the DCS nor
It's
the
a
sheriff's
complaint
office took
story
the
about the
allegations
department,
seriously
about
and
DCS.
instead ensured that the report was squashed
Well,
and not investigated.
Complaints? Yes.
The Campbells
Yes.
claimed their children had behavioural problems, prompting the repeat calls to police and the DCS. The parents, at first foster and then adopted parents, qualified for $700 monthly payments per child from the DCS to address the children's mental orders, which the notice of claim alleges were due to the parents' abuse. The Campbells' now adult son told the Republic he despaired of ever getting anyone to take a hard look at what was happening at the home. Given his parents' positions, no one believed the kids. His repeated calls to the DCS didn't change anything, he said. You wouldn't believe your co-worker would do despicable things. You see them every day, explaining why he believes the DCS officials sided with the father. The people who took the 911 calls said they knew his mum, who had been to her house for parties. Mum threatened to kill us a few times, the son said. But Monica said she would bury us in the desert and no one would come and look for us or would feed us to the pigs. Having grown up on a farm, the son said he saw what happened when dead animals were thrown to a pig pen. They don't even leave bones, he said. Although the youth is now legally an adult, the Republic is not naming him because he is a suspected victim of child abuse. I lost faith in the police. I lost faith in the system, he said. That's not a good thing. In 2018, the youth said the father punched him in the face, pinned him to the floor, and shocked him repeatedly with a taser while the family watched. He said it was meant to signal to the other children what would happen if they rebuffed their parents' control. When he threatened to kill himself, his father called sheriff's deputies. the responding officer arrested the parents, but according to the complaint, the situation turned on its head when the arrests were dismissed and the youth, not his parents, was arrested for assault. The deputy who initially arrested the parents was asked to resign. The complaint states the office issued a search warrant for footage of the taser incident from the family's video camera system. It was missing, and Brian Campbell's arrest. Brian Campbell was fired from the DCS in September 2018, while Monica Campbell was on administrative leave with the county sheriff's office until she resigned in the March. The Campbell's now adult son questions why it has taken so long for his family's story to come out. He wants accountability for the inaction of people who should have protected him and his siblings.
There, so that was a great little piece of information for everybody. Whew. I mean, that's just the way it is, right? That's just the way that Child Protective Services is. They don't give help to the people that need help. They're all just as guilty of doing these bad things as everybody else.
Well, I mean, they're worse.
Yeah, right. They are in it 100%, and it's crazy. Samantha, how you doing?
Well,
what's going on
how's
with you?
your day going?
Nothing. It's a Friday night.
Right.
I have no life. I'm always ready on now because I'm gonna file an appeal to, against CPS. I get it's always something productive.
Mm-hmm. Are you having any
Now, they
breaks?
haven't been adopted yet, have they?
My young two have, but I have 3 in foster care who I feel that I'm as for very, very much so. So I'm going to be filing motions for that.
How long ago were they adopted?
Here, adopted recently, like less than 6 months. But I have 3 in foster care here in Florida that have not been adopted, as far as I know, and there was no plan. So,
have you thought about petitioning to adopt them yourself? Because Florida's got some laws about, you know, what they argue about change the situation and the ability to readopt your own kids.
I have never heard of readoption. My daughter will be 13.
Yeah,
and
even Maine has that too.
Yeah, Maine has it too.
It's called readoption. It's not reinstating my rights.
Yeah,
it's adoption. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's like they don't give you your rights back.
They don't like to reestablish you know, that they screwed up. So what they do is they turn around and they say, instead of saying they screwed up, they turn around and say, oh, well, your situation's got better.
Okay. And funding's part of
Huh?
Probably.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Like that.
No, I mean, you should be able to get a court-appointed attorney to help do the paperwork. Okay. Really, because I know that, especially in Florida, that paperwork has to be filed. It's required to be filed by an attorney. They won't let you file that pro se. How long ago was the onset of your case? Like, how old is the whole case? Oh, did we lose her?
I'm looking up to see if Florida has this like Maine does.
Hey, Sam,
2018.
2018? Okay. When was your...
And my dog.
I'm wondering if you could use your TPR for grounds to go to the U.S. District Court and take it up to a federal level. You're very fortunate. You're in a U.S. District Court that has some really good case law. Because me and you share the same federal court. And I've got some case law. Text me your email and I'll forward you over some really good case law. Talks about the violations of the department making the entire case void right from day one.
Okay. I mean, they had no probable cause. I don't even think there was a warrant. So I will send you my email. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, you know, they've still not even established dependency on my case yet, and it's 2 years old, so.
All right, so
Judges are. Go ahead.
it says here, there are some circumstances where the adoption can be reversed, such as if the birth mother can prove fraud or duress in the adoption process. It also says the parent can petition the court to reinstate their rights if the child has not been permanently placed within a certain time frame. And I'm looking.
Yeah, it's usually within 1 to 2 years, as long as they're still in the system.
And if they're 13, that the child can go home. I mean, I know it's not that easy, but.
Yeah, no, you have to... Oh, lost her again. I know she's in such a bad signal area.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Florida has the Maine, like what Maine has.
Right, right. No, but they do have that you have so long as long as you can prove your situation's changed. You know, you can argue to fix it. Yeah, and I know in your case, Sam, you had a bunch of like crazy, they were lying their ass off on you.
Stated in Florida.
It's hard to go back into the courtroom, you know, just the thought of it there, and they're horrible to parents, CPS and dependency court, and so it's very hard to even think about going back and like signing up for it. But I mean, my kids are worth it, but it's not easy. It is not easy to even think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No. And especially the I know the judges you got to go in front of, and they're so heartless. You know, if it was one of them in the position that you're in, they'd be begging and crying and groveling, but they sit up there in that black robe and they look down at you as if you were last week's trash. And it's so demeaning, and it's not fair because they hear what they want and they don't hear the whole story.
Yes. People find it hard to believe that evidence is not required, and I reassure them that evidence is not required, and it's hard for people to understand that. But
even when evidence is required, they make it up.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So it's Florida Rule 8.540, motion to reinstate parental rights. and it is as amended through March 26, 2024. I mean, it's a process, but there's, I mean, if your kids are still in foster care, there's definitely a chance that you can fight your way to get them back.
I wonder if I should do the readoption or the reinstatement.
Hell, I'd do both.
Okay.
Let me get this for you.
Well, what's the worst they say? No. I mean, at this point, you throw it all out there, and
whatever sticks.
you know, it's
sticks,
got
man.
to, it's
Right.
got to mean something when you're standing there in that courtroom and you're still fighting.
You
Thank
would think
you.
it should mean something.
Right. And then
How old are the ones that are still in foster?
12, 9, and 8.
I would think the 12-year-old should be at an age that they would consider allowing him to speak.
Yep. 13. I would think so. Absolutely. She's very close to 13.
Hey,
Because
what
Do you
county
still
are
have
you
any
No.
contact?
Escambia County, 0 contact.
in? India County? Mrs. American Pie wants to know.
County.
All right, because Mrs. American Pie did her own. She wants to know what county you are in. So you're in Scandia County.
Yes.
She's
Mandy P says,
Northwest
hey guys,
Florida.
Mandy asks, hey guys, how can you prove fraud or adoption in the state of Florida? Or fraud or duress after adoption in Florida? How do you prove that?
Well, it would be fraud throughout your case. I mean, it's the same as fraud upon the court.
Let's see what it says for fraud and adoption.
Well, I feel I can prove duress because I went to my TPR trial to fight for my kids, and my attorney coerced me to sign my rights over like 5 minutes into the trial. We went out into the hallway, and so I feel that that's extreme coercion under duress. You know, I had witnesses there. I went there for my trial, and then, you know, at the very beginning of it, I signed my rights over. My attorney told me to. So I think that that's something. But
so adoption fraud, adoption fraud is any illegal act or intentional misrepresentation in the adoption process. This can include dishonesty or bribery by anyone involved in the adoption, such as birth parents, prospective adoptive parents, or adoption service providers. Adoption fraud is a felony and can result in fines and imprisonment for those convicted. Adoption fraud is also known as wrongful adoption. It refers to any form of intentional misrepresentations or illegal acts done by any of the families involved. Let's see here.
But Darren, you know as well as I do that fraud in the case has no timeline. Fraud upon the court is open-ended.
Right, it acts just like jurisdiction as well, right? Jurisdiction will last forever too. You can always question jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, those are ways to, if you can, they say that it's a slim chance. They just want you to think that. You go out there and you fight for your kids. Don't let what everybody else says or anybody says it's, we can't do this or we can't. That's your kids. Like you say, throw this stuff at them. Do what you got to do to get your kids back because something's got to break through. I'm convinced that this stuff that we are all overlooking this, we've all overanalyzed. There's something so simple that all of us are missing to allow us to have our kids back. And I know that this is going to be the case. When one of us gets it, we're all going to get it. There's just something so minute and so simple, but we've all been told that this is such an intense and such a final situation. Hell, people don't even die on the death penalty on death row, for God's sakes. They die of old age. They never even get their death penalty. So why, as parents,
right? Yeah, death penalty, and they put it out 50 years.
Yeah. So why,
that's a great message there.
You
That's
know,
a
so
great
you
message.
just keep, just you don't
I've
don't
never
worry
heard
about
it.
what.
I've never heard anybody say that. That's a good. Thank you.
Mhm. It's the truth. I mean, if they're going to try to compare this to the death penalty, well, let's compare the death penalty. How many people on death row sit rot in jail, never seen the electric chair? So why, as parents, do we have to accept the fact that, oh, whoops, they took our kid, we were terminated, and they adopted it? No, we don't. Because there's going to be a judge, there's going to be a court, there's going to be someone somewhere that's going to say that this is wrong, or like I said, there's something so simple that we're all missing it and we're all overanalyzing
I
it. And
think it's getting up to the higher court, getting out to the federal court, to where the Constitution still applies and law still applies. Because these trial
well,
judges are paid by the department to supervise the department's case. The
right.
longer the case goes on, the more money the judge makes. In my little ass county, there's 32 cases in the district court this year so far. I know because that paperwork of suit that I just received in the mail was 00032 civil .01. So literally, it's 32nd civil case this year. You know,
There is
so
a
he likes making money off the kids.
right. There is a 3-year statute of limitations on the negligence and fraud in an adoption. So you have 3 years after your child's been adopted to still go after them for fraud on the agencies. So there you go, people. Take that information and run with it.
My two young, thank you. My two younger kids, though, that have been adopted, I don't know if I'm what's best for. I didn't raise them like I did. You know, it really is about what's best for the kids. I mean, of course I want them. They're mine, but they were, so I just don't know. I don't know if I'm what's best for them. They're together, my youngest two, and they're with a good family. And so that's very hard.
Sam, and on that note, I feel you, and I agree with you on that, because I have 2 children that my rights were terminated to, and they were adopted. But they were adopted at a year and 2 years of age. And I've found enough fraud in that case that I could go back in and I could turn that whole case upside down. And they're 12 and 13. And if I did that, I would destroy everything those kids are. And it's not in the best interest.
Exactly.
You know,
I feel
so
like that's
you really
lost.
have to do what your heart says. And worry about what's in the best interest of the child. You can always look to find them later, especially if you know they're with a good family.
Yes.
Although it don't make missing them any easier.
No, and they should still be having contact with their siblings. You know, they act like that's a big deal and they uphold that, but they don't. CPS does not. So I want to be a part of their life right now, yesterday. You know, I don't want to just find them one day. I want to be a part of their life. If I would, like, that's what I hope for. If their new parents would allow it, or give me a chance, or just give me updates. I respect their authority now.
Right.
I'm not trying to file motions for them. Just my 3 and foster.
And I was going to say, you could always ask. You could always petition to open that adoption record, so that you can know who they are, not for the purposes of trying to regain custody, but to be, as bad as it sounds, Aunt Sam, not, or the cousin that they see for Christmas. so that you're still apart without, being firsthand.
I can petition to ocean. Is that how you worded it?
So, how's everything else been going for you? I know you've been working to try to build your TikTok and become kind of almost like a life coach with surviving the department.
Yes, I can't. My Instagram is actually doing better than my TikTok. Which makes me mad. The topic is such controversy on Instagram. Majority of them are mean, but I feel like I feel like it's important. They're hearing it, The awareness has begun once they hear it. So if they hear it another time, they'll start to change it, and they'll be like, "Oh, So I don't care if they believe me or not.
Right.
Yeah. You don't know what you say. That's crazy. That's too bad because Sam has a lot to say.
Yeah. And you know what? Sam's wonderful people. She was a guest on our other show. She was a guest there, and my heart's always went out to her because she has struggled long and hard, and she has struggled with really wanting to speak out because I think for a while she, like the rest of us, was kind of stuck under the shame cloud, and having to rebuild your own personal identity to stand up and say, you know what, this shit happened, and I'm not giving up. I'm that parent that is still fighting.
That's what it's all about.
Oh, we don't have any audio from you, Sam.
Sam must have a hurricane down there or something. There she is. Hey, Sam, what's your TikTok?
Her audio's dropped out.
Yeah, this is a bummer. What a bummer for a Friday night. I didn't see him blowed out. Well,
her TikTok, I'll send you one of her links, but she does a lot of videos and a lot of awareness. A lot of reaching out to people for awareness.
yeah. Hey, Mrs. American Pie, if you want to email us at abolishcps.com at gmail.com, and we'll get you in touch with her, and we'll get you guys information. That way you guys can do what you guys do, and you can get a little bit more knowledge on this. Let's see what else we got here. Miss American. It's really a quiet Friday night. But everybody, thank you for being with us. It could be worse.
It could be crazy.
This is true. Hey, if you guys are new to this, please like and subscribe. Do all those things that Facebook asks, or YouTube asks. That way we can spread the word. The more you guys like, subscribe, and leave these nice comments that you're putting up here, the more people hear about us. So that all helps. We also have a support this stream right here. Show you this right here.
What
right
state is that young lady in?
Which one, Herbert?
The one that we just lost.
Florida.
Samantha's an hour from me. She's right down in Florida.
Oh, she's in Florida. Okay. Yeah, they're having some storms down there, I think.
No, there ain't no storms over here.
Not in Florida?
There ain't no storms here. She's an hour from me. There's no storms where she's at.
Oh,
yeah, I'm right on the Florida line.
You
Man,
could be
I have
there's a
storms
railroad
over.
track a mile down the street from me, and it could be a blizzard like no tomorrow there, and it'll be sun right here, and it's only a mile away because the different
Yeah,
Gulf
no,
Stream pattern.
she's out at an event and she's kind of under some low signal.
Yeah.
Because her signal bar was running pretty weak. But yeah, no, she's only about an hour from me. Actually, I was probably 2 minutes from her house earlier today.
Well, you should have stopped in and said hello to her. Well, guys, Mandy P says no storms tonight either. Well, there's no storms brewing, so that's good. Hey, make sure you check out abolishcps.com. Also, we have a bunch of apparel there that you guys can check out. We have the Make Parenting Great Again hats. We've got the abolishcps.com wear with the official CPS Punisher sweatshirt. And we got the Keep Your Kids Safe t-shirts that say property of my mom and dad. If you are in a CPS investigation, make sure your kids are wearing these. That way we know that you know that they know that you guys are watching what they're up to. But
hey, Darren, did you want me to try to see if Samantha wants to come on next week? That way she could be in a spot with better signal.
Yeah, let's do that. That would be good.
Okay.
Under her own guidance, that'd be good. But hey, we're at a wrap time, guys. That's our Friday night. Herbert, what do you got to say before the weekend, buddy?
Oh, nothing except for stay safe, and it's very interesting listening to a young lady's story. I feel really bad she can't get to see her kids, and Melissa, the idea of her going in like a relative sounds great, but won't that be pressure on her, knowing she's really not, and she's a natural biological parent?
One, I'm adopted, okay? My father is actually through adoption. He's my brother. And I accept him as that. He is my brother. He is not my father. He is not my mother. He is not who raised me. I have a daughter that was part of an open adoption. And I know her very well. And I'm like Aunt Melissa. You know, I'm not a parent to her. But her and her sister, my daughter Sarah, they hang out all the time. So really, it depends on the situation. And, you know, in everyone's families nowadays, you have the stray family member that's around on a major holiday here and there, a birthday, and you don't really know much about them. And the matter as to what she can handle. And I think if she's comfortable being in that spot, she already recognizes that her rights was terminated while the children were both so young that interfering could possibly, you know, jeopardize their mental well-being. So if she's big enough to understand that and she still wants to try to communicate with them, then she knows the responsibility she's taking. And it's a rough spot to be in, but I applaud anyone that's willing to put the right of their children before their own right, because we know the department damn sure don't.
Okay. The other thing I want to ask about is people spitting in the cup. I'm talking about like ancestry. You see, because if the parent spits in a cup, and when that child becomes of age spits in a cup, they will find each other, regardless of what side of the United States they live.
Not necessarily. You know, that DNA testing crap yeah, you find out a little bit here and there. But my niece did the DNA thing, and her first cousin, like true first cousin, strong lineage, also did the test. You know, it didn't even pop up that they were related, but it gave her the name of someone who was in another country who's like her 16th cousin 20 times removed.
No, I'm not talking about that far. I know, Melissa, you're right. You're 100% correct. You're looking at second, third. You have to stay close. The numbers got to be.
You don't get to pick who they decide's your family. They send you a list like, here, this person's your cousin. Here, this is your new link.
Yeah, but they tell you how far apart you are. They'll say you like
Right.
first, second, third, fourth. That's what
Yes.
they'll say.
But Herbert, if they don't say your kid's related to you, then you can't say, well, find this person.
I'll talk more about it when we go in the after show.
Hey, Mandy asked this. What about doing a shared parenting? So if you like if you were close with the adoptive family or whatever, and you guys could manipulate sharing your parental rights, what about that as an option?
Well, I mean, that would be an option as long as the court deems you not a danger first. Because here's a for instance. My daughter Sarah has her child, okay? Her case is closed. They deem her an adult. She can be here in my house all she wants. The second she brings her kid around me because I have an open case, now that makes her neglectful and she's posing a risk of harm by allowing that kid to be around me. And that's what people don't realize is while their case is open or sometimes right when their case closes, depending on how you are deemed in the case, they will use that to attack anyone that comes around you. You know, again, that's that horrible stigma. You know, that making everyone look bad.
Right. That's it. I mean,
So
if you've
anyone that is exposed to you is, quote, you're putting them in risk of harm.
right, because they're not keeping them safe away from
Right. Failure to
someone
protect.
failure to protect. Correct. Thank you for that. And that sucks, that if you get substantiated, that stays with you the rest of your life. You are a child abuser, and it's, whether you did it or not, you're on a list, you put out there, and there's really not a lot you can do to get out of that.
Heck, I was substantiated because my mother passed away and they wanted my mom's house out of the will, and everyone started making false reports on me because my mother willed her house to a 2-year-old kid. So whoever had the kid had the house.
Yeah, mine says that they couldn't tell you in writing why they came to that decision. There were no words that they could come to. So I said, well, what the hell is this?
Have you thought about appealing it?
Well,
I don't know what the laws on substantiation is in your state, but
they're very slim.
in Michigan, they have this thing about if they do not notify you of your substantiation within, I think it's like 21 days or 30 days, if they do not notify you of that substantiation, you have the right to appeal it and have it removed from your record.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but what about after time's gone by? Like, I know that there's very strict time constraints on that. But Mandy says you can appeal that mark on the registry.
Yes, you can always appeal it, and you might as well.
Right.
I mean, what's like I was saying to Sam? What's the worst they can say? No.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, what we lost a day drafting a paper. We already do that. I mean, Darren, I bet you have notebook after notebook after notebook of things that you've learned that you wish you would have known.
Oh,
I got filing cabinets worth.
Right. As do I. I got so much stuff. I forget that I have the stuff that I already have. It's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy when you go through, you'll reread your stuff and you're like, where did this even come from? I never even knew that this was here. Like you have so much information that you've collected over these time frames.
Well, and I seen something today that kind of struck me a little odd. Yesterday we were talking about charges. We had kind of touched the topic of charges of failure to protect a minor from obscenity and being able to be put on a registry because some kid hops on TikTok and looks at something inappropriate. So, you know, they're just now down here and trying to pass a bill that stops kids from getting obscene material out of our libraries. So, does it seem odd that as a parent, if the kid finds Daddy's magazine in his work truck under his seat, you're a lifetime registered sex offender? But your kid can still currently legally walk into a library and read pornography, and it's okay.
You got the National Geographic magazine and look at third world countries running around with no shirts on, and that's okay.
Well, no, they said here in Alabama that they're now pushing to pass a bill to make it an offense for children to be able to access obscene material in the libraries.
Christ.
I mean, who goes to jail for the kid accessing obscene material? You know, do they put the parent in jail for that, or are we putting librarians in jail now?
That's what's coming down.
I guess it should be the library. It should be the library because the library is an institution. It's a facility, and you're allowing a minor to go in there and look up.
Does that mean we get to have the mayor arrested?
If mayor is over the library,
yeah, but you got the school partners. I mean, that's a whole nother can of stuff, you know. That whole argument is, I mean, because that could go a whole bunch of different ways. Not for today, though.
Well, I just think it's crazy that they hold us as people, the citizens, accountable in one direction, but yet it's okay for the lady sitting at the library desk to do the same thing. Yeah, the lady at the library desk can do the same thing, and it's not a crime. It's not illegal. It's not immoral. It's perfectly fine.
But you as a parent should go after the lady at the library desk.
Well, don't you remember a lot of parents started attacking the schools and the libraries for giving the kids inappropriate. I specifically recall a TikTok, and I actually downloaded it. He was a person over the school system, someone real high up in the school board. And he says, a mother came to me telling me about the homework that her daughter, a kindergarten age daughter, I think the daughter was like 8 or 9. So, second grade. She had homework that she was supposed to go home and ask her daddy about his erections and his ejaculation. And the mother was beside herself, pissed, and literally went and started attacking the school board over it.
Well, smart.
And the guy at the school board says, I would never let my own kids do this. How dare we put this kind of stuff in our school systems, because it's absolutely inappropriate. I mean, it's just crazy what our schools are exposing our kids to.
Did they terminate the teacher?
But it ain't the teacher. It's the curriculum.
Did they go after the person that wrote the curriculum?
Well, that was probably, I would say it was probably wrote 100 years ago, but it's probably something that Biden, put in there, or Obama.
Okay,
but,
you start from a low level and you go after the school. Forget the teacher, but you go after the school. You ain't
going to get around their immunity. Okay, they're just like going after a judge and going after the attorneys for the department. Don't you remember, Herbert? Parents was speaking out against the improper behaviors of the schools, and they sent the FBI to investigate parents as terrorists.
Yeah.
And they were arresting parents as terrorists. That's because
Yeah.
they started doing this darn schooling agenda. But I was talking to Richard earlier today. That's my procedure attorney that I deal with a lot.
The Richard that I know?
I don't know. No.
No, not Richard that comes on the show. The Richard that comes on the show?
I don't know any Richard that comes on the
Well,
show.
who
This
used
is
to come on?
my Alabama attorney.
Okay.
You don't
Okay.
know him.
Okay.
Anyways, we were discussing the system on a national level, how many kids were stolen, the fact that some of the northern states are using the alphabet mafia to pass all these really, really bad laws making pedophilia legal. And he says one of the first things he said is it's a shame that these kids that are being sexually transgendered to the opposite sex through the department and stuff, because the department says, hey, you want to be a little girl instead of a boy, come sign paperwork with us and we'll take you from your parents and make you whatever you want to be. Like he said, a child cannot enter into a legal contract until, especially in the state of Alabama, until you're 21 years old. Okay? How the hell can they decide whether they want an innie or an outie at the age of 6?
They can't. They can't.
And he said, and he was saying that anyone, any department worker, anyone, they should be punished. They should be criminally prosecuted. He says he feels that they're trying to create more girls so that there's more females to traffic.
It's, who knows? All right, Melissa, you got last thoughts for tonight?
No, I think we've all pretty much cleared the airway there.
Jesus almighty, I think so too. I think we
I'm
had
finished.
a good night.
Are we coming on after or no?
Yeah, I'll send us a link. We gotta do our scheduling, Herbert, for this week coming up.
I just wanted to know. That's all.
Yep, I'll send the link right after. All right, guys. Thank you guys very much for joining me tonight. I'll see you guys in the after. That's it, people. Don't ever give up the fight for your children, no matter what, no matter who, no matter what people say. That's your kids. You do what you got to do to fight for them. And if you feel like you can get things done, then you damn well go and do it, because that's your kid. And you don't need to. You love them. Go get them. That's all I can say about that, guys, because no one can tell you what you can and can't do but you. I'm the CPS Punisher. And that's right. And I'm going to try right here. And ready. I was doing. Should become Punisher. And I am getting it.
I got you, baby. I'm not hurting you. I'm supporting my daughter because this is going to court. I love you, baby.
Greetings, world. We are anonymous. Families are being destroyed. Children are being emotionally torn apart. In the United States, this all began when President Bill Clinton signed the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997. Since then, taking children from their loving parents has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Children are now seen as walking, breathing bags of money for corrupt state governments all over the United States. The US government incentivizes the kidnapping of children by providing lump sums of cash from federal funding to the states.
Going to CPS, trying to work everything out with them, thinking my son might be adopted.
Our children are the most precious people in our lives. We must protect them. In many cases, children are taken from their loving parents for the smallest of reasons, such as eating too much fruit or smoking a joint in their own home.
Child Protective Services, CPS, has all been known for massive corruption, the falsifying of documents, statements, and the list goes on.
Now, state police issued an Amber Alert for the pair on Monday after she failed to turn her son over to CYFD. On Tuesday, Bryant went on Facebook claiming she's the victim of CPS corruption.
This is a legal, human trafficking mafia with unlimited power and absolutely no accountability.
You want to juice, Mama? You want to take your juice? You want to drink a little bit right now? Let her out of the calmness right now. Okay.
This is a call to all: remove your fear and put on your masks. Find all of the CPS groups on social media platforms, get involved, do extensive research. Arm yourself with information. If you live in fear of the CPS mafia, then remove your fear, join with others and fight back. We will push to change the system, as long as the CPS uses corrupted methods to destroy our lives.
The Department of Child Protective Services has become a protected empire, built on taking children and separating families.
This is Nancy Schaefer. She gave up her career, and later her life, for the fight against CPS. The details of her murder are very suspicious, and many believe that she was murdered by the CPS for her heroic deeds. Please research her.
This is not to say that there are not those children who do need to be removed from wretched situations and need protection. However, my report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping. Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and hundreds across the country, and in nearly every state, I am convinced there is no accountability. There is no accountability. There is no accountability in Child Protective Services.
CPS is well known for massive corruption and criminal acts.
Assault, burglary, DWI, theft, domestic violence, indecent exposure, prostitution, possession of cocaine and marijuana, and selling alcohol to minors. Crimes have in common, they are just some of the crimes committed by people who work for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. That's right, the agency in charge of protecting Texas children. We found more than 370 employees have a criminal background. Some have direct contact with foster kids. David Mendoza pled guilty to assault with bodily injury to a family member and violating a protective order. He's a CPS supervisor in El Paso. Richard Landon was arrested for indecent exposure in 1997, and in 1994 he was arrested for prostitution after soliciting an undercover cop. He also works for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Look at that baby. Look how beautiful. Hundreds of thousands of federal funds, especially they put it on a couple psychotropic drugs, and then they'll adopt it out to somebody.
We call all to join together and stop this mafia. Child Protective Services, also known as CPS. CPS custody is one of the most dangerous places for a child. Many children are abused and sometimes even killed.
If somebody hurts my son, I'm filing a lawsuit.
CPS, Child Protective Services, we are waking up to your corruption involved with children, and we will expose you. We are anonymous, we are legion, we do not forgive, and we never forget. CPS, expect us.
Hey guys, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Keep your kids away from CPS. Punisher.